Speaking in English. I hope that's fine with everyone. I prepared everything in English, and today I want to talk a bit on who we are at Outfit7 and what we do, and touch the point of how we use Tableau across the companies. I didn't practice too much, so I have a bit of helper here. And with this I will change the slides. Tina already introduced me. Yeah. Luka Strasner, I work as a senior market analyst at Outfit7. I've been working there for 12 years now in various analytical roles. I started as a game analyst, continued into distribution and advertising. Then I joined the business intelligence controlling department, and now I'm leading the efforts for the market research, so to stay on top of the trends and translate them into opportunities. And yeah, I'm also in charge of tools that we use in our business intelligence, and Tableau is one of them. So how did I got here exactly? Tina and Attila visited us in February, and we discussed on how great Tableau community is, and that it would be nice to see those efforts into the community a bit revived. And we were happy for the Tableau conference in Europe, which was not a conference, as I heard now. But that it would be also great to revive it a bit on local level, because we had some meetings in the past, and I think the tool is only worth as much as people who use it, and you need to onboard, you need to share the knowledge between people so they can use it better. Next, I want to talk a bit more on Outfit. I'm not sure how much you know about Outfit, what we do, what are our products, and Outfit7 is a global entertainment force that serves joy to billions through games, video content, and amusement parks, and so on. Our main purpose is to create memorable experiences that look, play, and feel good. I'm not so good with words, so I will show you a short video that highlights our Outfit7 mindset. It's about a minute and a half long.
It all started with Tom, who got poked. Look, people poked him so much that Talking Tom and Friends became the top mobile IP of the decade. And today, we at Outfit7 have more than 20 games for you to play. From wacky runners to our OG virtual pets, there's something for everyone, even those who don't like poking things. Over the last 15 years, we've built a legacy of feel-good moments. Up to 450 million people worldwide are getting their dose of joy every month. And that's not all. Our videos share more than 113 billion reasons to smile as well. From our much-loved Talking Tom and Friends series to the bite-sized minis and shorts. Experiences that go beyond the screens, with theme parks and licensing products that bring Talking Tom and Friends to life. None of this would be possible without our amazing team of over 400 gamers, experts, and yes, even a few normal people. We leave our mark on our products and in real life too, giving back to society whenever we can. But it's not just about the numbers. We're all about creating memorable experiences that look, play, and feel good. And the best? Well, that's yet to come. We're always expanding our playground, and we are ready for you to join the game.
So you've seen in short how we approach the things, and the Outfit story started with one game, Talking Tom, you probably know it, in 2009, but today we have the whole mobile entertainment that reaches millions and millions of users. You've seen a couple of numbers already on the screen, but I just want to highlight some of those again. We are one of the top 10 mobile publisher by game downloads, constantly for now, I think over 10 years. We place in top 10 every time. We reach up to 470 million monthly active users. And in total, our games were downloaded over 25 billion times. So the numbers really are big. Beside games, I mentioned that we have video content. We have about 40 hours of original content. You can read the numbers, I won't go through all of them. We have global licensing and merchandise programs, and we have now over 24 entertainment parks. But this doesn't stop us. We're continuing our efforts on developing new fun experiences in terms of games, new video content, movies, and tackling as well some other areas as education. If you don't know our games, here are a couple of flagship ones. We are leaders in virtual pet game segment. So this would be something you would call Tamagotchis. I don't know how old are you if you remember those pocket thingies from back then. But the idea of those apps is kind of similar. They have their own needs. You can interact them, you can pet them, feed them, dress them, and have fun. We have about 60% of market share in this segment. And next, where we have the significant share is our runner games. These are more actionable, quick. We have two games, Talking Tom Gold Run and Talking Tom Hero Dash. And just some fun fact that our analyst calculated. In Talking Tom Gold Run alone, fans run the equivalent of 1 times around the sun every day. So, with some numbers, they are really big. But why I wanted to start with the numbers, forgot this slide. We're truly a global company. We have our users across the whole globe, from America to Europe, Asia, even in Africa. Africa is one of the developing markets that has increased smartphone penetration, so a lot of new users come from there, especially the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. I can go back. This is it on the company. I have a couple of links if you want to be in contact with me, or if you want to learn more about Outfit7 or check our video content. I'll leave this in the last slide as well, or you can poke me during the breaks. Why I wanted to show you those numbers, because those numbers create a lot of data. And when I ask our data scientists and engineers how much data we produce more than 5 billion events daily, and this accounts to more than 4 terabytes data in each day. We store all of this data in cloud, and Google BigQuery is our main database. We probably store 90% plus of our data there. And there it is processed, transformed, aggregated to whatever we need them to make them available to tools and processes, platforms such as Tableau and others. And over the time, with the new technologies, this evolved a bit, and the amount of our users grew, number of data grew, our teams grew, so we had different needs. So this is really complex topic. We could go into more details, but today I want to focus on the Tableau itself. So how did we start with the Tableau? We started quite a long time ago. I was actually part of the original team that was assessing Tableau. And back then our business needs were, we needed a tool that would be interactive, that would be scalable, that would have good support, and we found this in Tableau, that had really strong community, already mentioned. And so I went a bit on a trip down the memory lane and dig through the old emails and found you a couple of dashboards from 2015 somewhere, just to show on how we used Tableau back then. And this is actually the message when I created the account. Okay, the first one, those little box plots. This was something that I designed for our engineering team, because we had a multiplayer game that utilized matchmaking. Our engineers developed that matchmaking, and they didn't know exactly how it would perform. So from the events, I made on this a distribution charts that shows waiting times for different lobbies. So with the matchmaking, the players would be segregated in based on Elo ratings in different lobbies. So that way you would match the right skill together. And this was something that they used to find where the anomalies are, if they need to merge some lobbies or do anything there. The second example is just the app pairs. So for we have cross promotion inside our apps when we promote our other apps. And this dashboard showed visually just which are the most popular pairs that create cross promotion installs. Okay. But let's go to today. The adoption was really good initially. So from business intelligence team, it grew across the departments, and many of departments nowadays have access and use the Tableau. They're listed here: controlling, analytics, distribution, sales, tech, and also media content. We have about 30 people that create and maintain the dashboards. But on the other hand, this data is available to many more users. And they range from management team to product and marketing managers, and also to external partners, because you can give the access outside the company. So we use some of the dashboards to give the insights also to our partners. And I would say roughly 1/3 of the company have access to interactive data on the Tableau. It's mainly used for top-level dashboards. I'll show you the top use cases for us. First would be monitoring and reporting dashboards. This is probably most widely used. So this is one of the real dashboards with real data from one of our apps we currently have in soft launch. That's why the numbers are still small. But just an example of how some reporting dashboards would look like. Of course, from dashboards from other departments might address different KPIs, show different things. And I mentioned the external partners. I think this option to share, to give the access also to outside companies is really great, because we utilize this a lot. For example, if we had some external developers who maintain the apps for us, we could give them something like that. So they're also on the top, so they know how they do, what's the impact of their work. On the other hand, we're also in the roles of receiving the data that way, because in the gaming, quite few companies, quite few of our partners also use Tableau, so they sometimes share parts of data or even some product mock-ups done in Tableau before they transfer it in their platform. The second use is using it just as analytical tool that allows the data exploration. For example, when I encounter some new data sources, I usually like to play around it a bit in Tableau and check how it's built, what happens if I, on the dimensions, if I can drill it down. And this use is not only reserved for our analysts, but a lot of sales and media content people also use it, mainly because it allows them to get the data to communicate with partners. So on the reach we can provide for our partnerships, because it's kind of hard to do everything with the monitoring dashboards, because then we would have billions of them covering every angle, and it would be a mess, hard to find. So it's easier if they interact with data and pull whatever they need. And the last thing, the last use, this is probably the least used, and something that maybe now the agents will replace, but the use of Tableau as an app. So over the time, we developed several interactive dashboards that user could get some output based on what they do. They could get estimations, forecasts, and this is one of the real examples, not used anymore, but I think it's nice to show. Here we had the case that we wanted our UA managers to be able to calculate how much installs, what would be the cost of campaigns they need to do. And for this we merged the external sources like market downloads with the internal data, with the cost data. We also added LTV of our apps. So in the end, this was put into a model that would give the user how much downloads they need to buy and how much this would cost them. And the second version also had the ROI calculation, so they will know exactly how profitable that would be. You don't need to read through the whole. Here is just an example. I mentioned that tool is only worth as much if the users know how to use it. They're familiar with it, and we have several efforts there, from onboarding to internal workshops. We also have Slack channels where the people can communicate, share tips, or ask if they're stuck. And this is one of the real slides from our internal workshops, just highlighting some things we did back then. Probably the biggest one was big workbook cleanup. You can see that we had more than 500 workbooks or dashboards back then, and we went through all of them and updated data source, merged them, deleted the obsolete. So you need to maintain the data as well. And I'll continue with using the examples from our workshops. Very top level. So I don't know how many of you, I forgot to ask how many of you are Tableau users here. Can you raise hand just to have the idea? Okay, actually not so many. Okay, this will be so top level, but it will highlight how we approach the optimization for our real problems. When it comes to dashboards, we found that for us at least, the way we use it, with the way we connect to data sources, the size was not issue generally. Also, the cloud size was not an issue. It might be different for you, especially if you use large data sets or you create the extracts or you duplicate them. But here are some tips that we made for our analysts, for our creators who use Tableau, and because we wanted to avoid huge workbooks, Of course, everyone would like to see everything, and when they interact with the dashboard, they would like to go to the lowest details, the specific countries, get the users there. But you can do that, but then it gets problematic, it gets slow. So a couple of our recommendation was when you use daily dashboards with many details, for example, all of the countries, all of the regions, all of the products, you should shorten it to keep the data manageable. But if you're doing long overviews, you probably don't need that granular data on a daily level. You can do it on monthly or weeklies. And with some trial and errors, fails, we found that sweet spot for us when it comes to extracting the data was somewhere up to 20 million rows. And tips to achieving this, because not a lot of sources did not achieve this, was to either shorten the periods, to aggregate the data, or even group different values. So for example, you probably don't need to see all the 300, 250 countries that exist, but you probably look at top 10. So you could have top 10 countries listed and grouped all others in bucket called other or something else. When we promoted the extract, these were not the only use cases. We also used the live connections because they serve their needs. And I just want to highlight what were the advantages of different ways for different purposes. When it comes to end user, extracts are usually the way to go because they're fast, instant. On the other hand, the live connection will get slow because of course, depending on what kind of data you connect to. If it's very aggregated or small, this could be equivalent in terms of speed, but they usually aren't. When it comes to cost savings, if you do extract and serve that data to all the users, it's much cheaper than if every interaction produces a query you do and they will charge you for compute usually. Data freshness. When it comes to data freshness, of course, live connection wins because it's real time and extracts. The most granular you can do is hourly refreshes, but then it can also defeat the whole purpose of extracts because you're doing 24 extracts per day, and this might be more than if you would allow users to connect and just pull the data. From the data analysis perspective, you need to have extract for certain analytical functions like percentiles and for level of details calculations. You cannot do that with live queries, so it means here. And what's the disadvantage of extracts when it comes to large amount of data? It's just not possible to extract everything, so we often build dashboards on live connections when we need real-time data and a lot of data, or the analysts and users will interact with the data directly in Creator. So not to bore you, I just have the last slide. When we promoted all these extracts, of course, what happened? So imagine you came to work. When would you like to have your data ready? When you're sipping morning coffee. So the most queued slots were between 7 and 9 in the morning, and this created problems because sometimes they went overtime and some important dashboards wouldn't be ready in time because before them it would be something really slow and huge with many joins, and it would clog the pipeline. So we need to kind of agree on what we want to prioritize. And so. And this is also real data. Okay, I could talk more about Tableau. If you want to catch me or discuss, if you have any problems, we can discuss it during the breaks. Again, here are my contacts if you would like to reach out or know more about Outfit7. I have a question. Yes, Attila.
Thank you for sharing all of this. My question would be, like, you mentioned these optimizations that you identified how you try to optimize internal usage of Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, how do you communicate it internally, and how do you communicate it internally, and how do you try to make it happen?
Okay, for everyday communication, we have Slack channels with only creators. So they're the ones that build and maintain the dashboard. So when it comes to something like how the permissions should be set, how the sizes of workbooks, or even how the structure is organized, we can communicate there. We also have prepared some guidelines that are shared in our documentation systems. And beside that, I mentioned we have like this internal Tableau creator meetings when we refresh, because when new people come, they don't know exactly what's the policy, how we do it, so we can direct them or refresh them on one of those meets.
And do you communicate with the viewers as well?
Yes. I mean, the basic use is probably self-explanatory, but I found out that the viewers often don't know what they can do, and they're really amazed when you show them, for example, that they can subscribe to this data, that they don't need to search for the dashboards, but they can get them into their emails to check, or that they can even filter data or change the data granularities, prepare the view. So if you are doing, if you're checking, let's say I'm an UA manager responsible for North America for 3 specific apps, I can prepare myself a view that will filter this data only on US and those apps that I need to look at. So I can save it as my default, and I will see it instantly when I come. I don't need to set the filters every time. So it's small things like that that usually people are not aware of.
So you encourage this self-service and exploration culture, or data culture?
Yeah. I think it's important that people know the efforts of their work. So something they put a year or two of their lives into, if in case of developing a new app, that they also see how it performs. And also to further develop it, they need to get insights. So we do this in forms of, I don't know, data drill in terms of funnels, A/B testing, stuff to further improve the experience for our users.
Can I have one question, please?
Yes.
What is it, the dynamics? So, like the main filters, if you like choose the filter one, are the other ones adapt to the data of the first one? So, like, is it really dynamic?
It really depends from the usage and on the specific cases. Usually, I would say it depends on how many values you really have. Because if they are dependent on, if that's the question, so if they are depending on one another, maybe you have like higher level filter that you use first, and then the lower level would, instead of listing, I don't know, 50 platforms, would just list 5 that are applicable to that one. But it really depends on the constructor and on the specific purpose. That yeah, it's possible to do it like that.
What about the business users, so the high level? Did they have problems with the usage for the tool? Was it difficult for them, or it was really understandable, easy to use?
The business users, like maybe like management, they're usually in a role of end users. They don't dig into data with the creator, but they access something that was prepared for them. I mean, I hope that we are producing something insightful that, you know, we get a lot of feedback and a lot of wishes. So in the end, it's a bit on compromises because you cannot have on a top level dashboard. You usually don't want to go too deep or stuff like that. But I went, yeah, sure. But yeah, I don't think they had many problems, especially with top level dashboards. When there are questions, there are often in ways of, like Attila spoke earlier, is there something wrong with the data, or can we trust data? Because Tableau visualizes what it gets from from the databases, but sometimes, as you know, some data delays happen, or there's incomplete data or something like that. So the questions are more in line with that, as with the understanding how to navigate around.
Also, I have one question now, building on what the lady here asked. So speaking of the management or the top level KPI metrics, would Tableau then be your one and only reporting data visualization tool, or would this be for them what I open in the morning to see how the previous day went, or you are also complementing with different reporting tools? And sorry, Attila, now if this is now in clash of
Yeah.
Tableau first and Tableau only platform, just to understand how it.
No, Tableau is not the only tool we use. It has the widest reach because we have so many viewers, but there are certain things that we cannot do in Tableau, and we use also a combination of other tools. Also, some KPIs are tracked through our internal platforms dashboard, so not all data is on Tableau. So they could get a lot of information, the management from the Tableau dashboards, but probably not all of them. They also sometimes don't have time to interact with dashboards and check themselves, but they are rather presented with the already curated data and insights reports.
Are you able to share what sort of use cases, maybe a typical example, when you use other tools?
Okay, for example, for A/B testing or accessing a large amount of data, we would use Python or R, depending on the purposes. Also for machine learning, stuff like that, of course, those platforms. And of course, we use the tools like Excel to quickly access pivot something. The finance team is still on Excel. So yeah, that would be some tools, and we work a lot with externals. So sometimes they would bring their own tool, or the tool they are more familiar with. We would give them access to data, and they would visualize it their own way. Be it, I don't know, Looker Studio or something. That's easier for them, so that there is no friction. But the main thing here is that you need to have the curated data sources, so the same data is available across different tools.